Bill Gates has become the top U.S. farmland owner. He's loving the farmland. You didn't even know that.
He's a farmer?
I don't know if he's a farmer himself, but he's certainly interested in diversifying his holdings by picking up a bunch of land in Louisiana, Arkansas, Nebraska, and Arizona.
Bill Gates has been snatching up 242,000 acres of farmland across the US, enough to make him the top private farmland owner in America. According to the Land Report, the tech billionaire has been purchasing agricultural land for years, building a massive portfolio of farmland in 18 states. This is not Gates' only foray into agriculture. In 2008, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation announced $306 million in grants to promote high-yield, sustainable agriculture among farmers in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. The foundation also invested in the development of supercrops resistant to climate change and higher-yield dairy cows.
The rich dividend of green revolution of the 1960s notwithstanding, today as much as 30% of the crop is lost due to pests, weeds and diseases. This, according to estimates, totals to a loss of around 3 lakh crore rupees each year. The lesson learnt during the course of this stagnation was simple. It is as important to save the crop as to grow it.
You know, Jim, no matter what changes, we will always need food, and that's why you've all long advocated for investing in agriculture. We see Bill Gates is certainly doing that. He's buying farmland. According to the Land Report, the #1 private owners of farmland in America are none other than Bill and Melinda Gates. Now, last time I saw you, you said that your best bit of advice for me was to buy a farm and have children. Now, alas, I have not done either yet, but short of buying a farm, what is the best way to invest in farmland or agriculture?
Well, as I say, for me, the very best way is to buy a farm and become a farmer. Michelle, can you drive a tractor?
Not very well, Jim. Not very well.
Okay, well, fine. Learn to drive a tractor, if nothing else, or buy a farm. The best way is to become a farmer. Buy a farm and become a farmer. Now, I'm not going to do that. So what I do is I buy these indexes, as I said. All the studies show that index investing outperforms active management of nearly any asset class. So I own RJA. In fact, I'll be buying more soon because I think I know that agricultural prices are going to go much higher, but all commodity prices are going to go much higher. So if you don't want to learn to drive a tractor, if you don't want to buy a farm, I urge you to think about index investing. Or Michelle, if you know what you're doing, buy the futures. If you're good at cotton, don't ask me, buy all the cotton you can. You get very, very, very rich, or whichever commodity you decide on.
Very few people have gone into farming. The young people in America, the more they study, more of them study public relations than study agriculture. So the old guys are dying and retiring. No young people are coming in. So unless the price of agricultural goods goes up a lot, we're not going to have any farmers at any price. Something has to attract people into the agricultural business. And the only thing that will is higher profitability, and that means higher prices, whether we like it or not. So I cannot tell you how optimistic I am about agriculture going forward. The world's going to have a crisis sometime in the next few years because we don't have enough farmers.
And why is that a sector that you see a lot of growth and you're bullish on? I mean, you're talking about farmers driving Lamborghinis. You know, I'm an ex-banker myself, and I would have never expected to see the flip side of that. So what do you mean by that when you say that?
Well, first of all, agriculture has been a terrible business for 30 years. It's been so bad that the world is now consumed more than it's produced for the last decade. And when you consume more than you produce, it's got to come from inventory. We built up big inventories over those 30 years, but now the inventories worldwide are near historic lows. So we're running out of food. Worse than that, we're running out of farmers. But the average age of farmers in America is 58.
That old?
In Japan, it's 66. In Canada, it's the oldest in recorded history. Australia, it's 58. The highest rate of suicide in the UK is in agriculture. Millions or lots of Indian farmers have committed suicide in the past. It's a terrible business.
The pay is near poverty level as well.
For many reasons, it's been a terrible business.
Okay.
At the same time, we don't have any new people. Young people are not becoming farmers. More people in America study public relations than study agriculture. We got the old people dying and getting out of the business. No young people coming in. What more do you need to know? Unless the price of agricultural goods and profits in agriculture go much higher, there's not going to be any food at any price. Somebody has to go into the fields. Even when the fields are automated, somebody's got to do it. And if everybody's dead and everybody's studying public relations, where's the food going to come from?
And will this be dominated by companies like Cargill and those huge conglomerates that they kind of run the food business? I think last time that I saw a documentary about buying like bacon in the U.S., that it's all supplied by basically 3 companies that do the majority of that.
Well, there are certainly going to be big companies and successful companies, but the U.S. is not the only producer of food in the world. It may astonish some people to know that. There are vast numbers of farmers in agricultural areas around the world. Some companies will get bigger and more successful, but also there's plenty of opportunity for entrepreneurs and people starting out. I suggest that you go and get a farming degree, because farmers are going to be driving Lamborghinis in the next 10, 20, 30 years. The people in the city of London, all those stockbrokers, they're going to be driving taxis. The smart ones will learn how to drive tractors so that they can go to work for the smart farmers in the next generation. We've had things like this many times in history. You've had times when the money changers were making all the money, the paper changers. Then you've had periods when all of the people who produced real things were on top. Agriculture, mining, whatever it happened to be. We're in a shift now to people who produce real goods. So go get yourself a farming degree, or learn how to drive a tractor, if nothing else, or move to Asia. There are going to be fantastic opportunities, magnificent opportunities in the next 20 or 30 years.
If you want to buy property, head west. There's a lot of farmland in Iowa. There's a lot of land in Nebraska. That's cheaper, and those guys are going to come out ahead, if you ask me. But you could go to Canada, Australia, many places where you can go and buy property. I wouldn't buy property in Sydney. I might buy it in the outback in Australia. I look at assets, I see government bonds are the most overpriced in the world, and agriculture is probably the cheapest in the world right now.